sites in here,
No.
but I mean, in case
Never happened.
a friend of a friend, or asking for somebody else.
I prefer mine.
Then Jim's your guy, and he's going to show us some cool stuff about site migrations from other crappier platforms.
We're going to do lots of things. All right. I've got to do my sound check first. Yay! There's a reason for that. We'll come up later. Hello there. It's great to see you all. A lot of friendly faces. People are always here. Where we don't have people who are not always here. I don't know. We need more people. I'm Jim Walker, and I'd like to thank Matt because he's the man. I mean, seriously, he puts this thing together and administers it. Awesome. I asked him a lot of stupid questions tonight, and he was very helpful. I'll be talking about WordPress. You guys ever heard of that? WordPress thing?
Yep.
WordPress, as you know, is a wonderful thing, and it really excites me. And the title of this presentation is WordPress Lets Me Do It. And our goal here is to talk about how to import sites from Joomla into WordPress, and we'll also talk about choosing themes and plugins. We're going to go through a lot of little things. Now, what I ask for a little administrative is that you not ask a lot of questions during the presentation. I'm going to write them down, please, and ask me after, because I'm going to do a little video here, and they can't really hear your questions. You know how that sounds when you do the video. People go, what? So I'm going to go ahead and start, and here we go. A problem, we don't have a nice dais here, so I have to kind of lean down. All right, so I can do this right. Little thing here. I'll tell you my story. All right, so that's me, and I'm in archery. And so the whole purpose of this presentation is I was at one of the archery tournaments, and I was hanging out, and it's a local website called SanDiegoArchers.com. And they asked, and they said, well, what do you do, Jim? And I said, well, I do internet stuff. I mean, half the time I don't know what to say, right? Because half the people don't know what internet stuff is, they don't know what WordPress is, so what am I going to say? Sometimes I'll say, well, I do IT. That's so far away from what I do. But one of the things that in the conversation that occurred through the tournament, they asked me, what do you do like on a day-to-day? I said, well, sometimes I work on websites. All of a sudden, whoa, it like almost tackled me. Our webmaster is pretty much dead, gone, oblivious, and we need some help with our website. So I bring it up on my phone, and, well, pretty obvious. Obviously, a Joomla website from second one. And it's a Joomla website. Oh, wow, this would be interesting. Joomla, yeah, I've used that a little bit. And they said, well, what do you think? You want to take it over? You want to work it? And I said, well, I'll have to translate it over into WordPress. And that may take a little while. And she said, oh, okay. No idea what WordPress is. And so I said, well, tell you what. I can do it. And so that was the theme of that day was, I'm just going to make it work. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to develop this thing. I'm going to build it up. So that weekend passed. The week went by and I kept thinking to myself, well, how am I going to do this Joomla thing? Because I've never done an import before. Truthfully, I've never done anything with Joomla other than log in and fix people's websites when they are hacked. I log in, change the password. That's about all I know about Joomla. And so I jumped in, and it was interesting. SanDiegoArchers.com is, oh, by the way, that image, I found it somewhere, and I always wanted to do it in a presentation. I don't know what it's for. We'll call it WordPress Weekend, because that's what I did. When the next weekend came along, I had some time off, and I worked on translating the Joomla site into a WordPress site over one weekend. In actuality, I think I did it in a day. And I'm going to walk you through that whole process of what I did and the steps I did and how I really extended it toward the end of the process. So, how do most of us choose a WordPress theme? In my case, I always choose a WordPress theme for two things. One is mobile, right? Mobile's everything. 60-70% or so of people supposedly use mobile now. I don't believe it, but that's what they say. And also speed. So I went to Google and I said, I'm looking for a theme that is a GT metric score of over 90, GT metrics is a great thing. Well, it's one of the better, it's not the best thing, but it's really the only thing out there that does a generally consistent job for websites. So I can go there and I can see if a theme is 70 or 60 or 90. In many cases in my review, I saw themes that were like 60 and 50 on the developer's website. Why is that? Why do you develop a theme and then present it so badly that if someone does a speed test, it fares horribly? Well, I gave up on all those. I kind of dropped it down to about 3 or so themes, and I installed them, and yeah, nice. I found one that worked really well. And then kind of played with it a little bit, did the testing on it, and worked wonderfully well. And so I just said, just do it. Took that theme and ran with it. So what I did in my case was I installed WordPress on a local server that I have, and then I installed FG Joomla. And has anyone heard of FG Joomla? There's only about 2 or 3 approaches to importing Joomla reliably. I've kind of researched on a couple of them and read a bunch of reviews, and in the end, everybody recommended FG Joomla. So I installed WordPress with a hello page on it. There was nothing on it, and then I did a FG Joomla plugin installation. And I'm not going to get into FG Joomla. I'm not going to go into that technical part of it, but I can tell you that the methodology goes like this: install the plugin. You'll then ask you have to actually get the database Excel file, the actual XML file, and then you literally import it, and it'll go through a whole bunch of steps and ask you a bunch of questions. It's really no different than the WordPress.com importer. It actually looks almost exactly the same. So I did it about once, totally screwed it up. But I didn't give up. See, that was the point. You could very easily start it and wait 15 minutes and then just totally give up because you think this is not going to work. And so I did it a second time. Oh, interesting. Figuring out the little things that work. And then trashed it, started over. And then I'm big into a local host. So what I do is that when I was viewing the website, is I set up my site, SanDiegoArchers.com, on my personal server, and then I used a program called Gas Mask for Mac OS, and then I basically typed into my Gas Mask program the IP address of my server and the domain, and that let me work on SanDiegoArchers.com on my personal server, even though SanDiegoArchers.com was still live on the internet, running Joomla wonderfully, etc. So I had an installed WordPress, I had a FG Joomla import, and I had the theme, Rocket. Second I got into Joomla, the first thing I noticed is it's all about categories. So when you do your import, it's going to be, remember the word category, because when you get later into the process of building your menus, you're going to be doing them with the categories. You'll be importing, when you set up your menus on the top, you're going to choose the categories, because that's really how the import works with Joomla. It imports everything as posts, but it keeps the categories. It keeps them really well. So when you actually get into the job, if the previous Joomla website was good at assigning the categories for its media and for its posts, you'll do wonderfully well. If the previous Joomla job didn't assign any categories, I'm not going to go back to it, but if it didn't have any good menu structure, you're going to have a challenge. This website happened to be really well organized in terms of its menu structure. Tournaments were here, results were here. It was all nicely categorized. So I'm really thankful to the prior web designer who did that for me, because that made life crazy easier. So the next thing, once I did the import, now I played around with the data. Everything looked great. Posts looked fantastic. I mean, literally looked exactly like the Joomla website. The layout and everything was perfect. I did no tweaking whatsoever. And so the next step of my process was building the menus. And so as you all know, when you build a WordPress website, go into the customizer, go into the menu, and you start assigning your menus. Luckily, the FG Joomla program also actually kind of establishes a basic menu structure for you. Love it. It was awesome. And so went into the menus, started creating and duplicating in my local host, and then I was looking at the weather website over here on a different computer, and then I was actually able to see what worked, and I was actually able to get my menus looking very much like the Joomla site. And of course, the categories are really important, and when you set up your menus within WordPress as well, because that when WordPress comes to your website and they see SanDiegoArchers.com /tournaments/ 2017. Luckily, the prior web designer did that all for me really nicely, so the categories, like, they locked in. So the next step was, now that I've got this kind of quasi-website set up, obviously the links are going to be all messed up. There's going to be stuff, media, and kind of places I don't like. Luckily, I didn't have to do a whole lot in terms of find and replace, but I did end up using the better search and replace tool to fix some of the images. Because what happens in Joomla is that sometimes it lets you put images outside of the Joomla images directory. So when I copied over the files from the other Joomla program, it puts them in a /images directory. Well, I'm not going to go into the upload in WordPress and individually load 500 images. So I played around with better WordPress and I figured out the nomenclature, the structure, and I ran it. Awesome. The main objective, though, for my San Diego Archers, as you can imagine, is interaction. Because I want to get people to go to it. I want them to see the results of tournaments. I want them to be able to comment. I want them to be able to see when the next tournament is. I want to be able to comment. So I chose Epoch. So anyone heard of Epoch as a commenting tool? Pretty awesome. I installed Jetpacks first. Jetpack's always been my go-to for commenting. And then somebody turned me on to Epoch literally that weekend. Seriously, it's like step by step. I don't know, from above. And so I installed Epoch, and someone, Luke Kavanaugh, I think it was, at Bluehost, and he commented that Epoch's one of the most awesome comment tools. And I said, oh. I was literally working on the website, and I was posting to Luke's advanced WordPress ticket, or maybe it was web designers, and I was saying, I just set that up. It took me 20 minutes to set it up. So this is all real time. I'm posting in Facebook. I'm posting in the Facebook sites. I'm updating my stuff, and information is coming in. This is the way I think the design process works with us. Is you get in tune with everything that's around you. You Google your stuff, and then you just kind of listen to the ether for just ideas. And a lot of my approach worked just like that. The redirection plugin, we always know what that is. I hate it, but it's a necessary evil. When you're moving a website from one location to another and you get your 301 straight, I'm sorry. Redirection. The redirection plugin is the only way to go. You want to get away from it later. As soon as your SEO your site gets re-indexed into Google and everything, try to drop it out over time. But with redirection, that's. You have a comment?
Yeah, never get rid of your 301s.
No, I'm talking about the redirection. So what's going to happen is that this site was pretty well indexed in Google, but in all truthfulness, I didn't necessarily care about the 2014 stuff. So I kind of played around with HT access rules, and I'm still using the redirection plugin, but it's not necessarily the best approach in the long term. I do think you should drop it after a while. Figure out what you're doing, because it can cause issues and slowness and some other problems. At least that's been my experience. The other one was that I have a lot of videos. We have videos from past presentations, so I chose the video sidebar widget, which is fantastic. Does anyone use that plugin? The video sidebar widget is nice, not because it allows you to import, put the videos, YouTube videos in your site, but because it lets you put lots of them on your website. So you can put it up on your widget, and if you have events, then it'll actually let you choose like 6 or so YouTube videos, and they will cycle every single time you go to the page. So it gives you that idea of things actually happening. New tournament comes up, video pops up. Reload the page, it comes up. And then last but not least, I went with the event calendar, because that's our goal, is to try to talk about events and build out our events and make people know when the event's going to come up. So literally, those are my 5 or 6 plugins that I chose that really built the whole infrastructure of the site. And that was it. I mean, once I had those, now it was time for me to move to the next level. The site was ready, menus were ready, the basic infrastructure ready, the basic media was popping up on the screen, YouTube videos, Twitter. So now we get into the fun part. So this is kind of moving outside of the Facebook presentation and moving into what you do with every website. So in every website, once you get it completely set up, jump right into set up your Facebook if you have to set up a page or whatever for the business. Set up your Twitter account for your business, your Instagram for your business, and set up your Google account. Why the Google account? Well, you want to set up the Google account for a lot of reasons, and I'll come back to that a little bit later, but that's not necessarily the social media side of it, but you're going to need that once you get to completing your site and getting the Google Search Console set up and getting your SSL in place. But we'll move on to that. The really fun part, though, is who's aware of IFTTT? Who's familiar with it? All right. Why do you think I did all this? All right. I did that for this. All right. So what's going to happen is that when I post a video, or when I tweet, or when I post the end goal, by the way, is for me not to work on this project when I'm done. The end goal is for me to pass this on to the club managers. IFTTT, which stands for initialism for this, then that, allows you to do one thing and allow everything else to populate. So I will populate my Facebook page or my WordPress website, SanDiegoArchers.com, and it will automatically, within a few minutes, blow up the internet with my videos, my Twitter feeds. Boom to Facebook, boom to Twitter, boom to Instagram, all at once. I'm like everywhere, all at once. And when we go into the tournaments, my goal is that we'll give different people their own copy of the Instagram user password, and when they're in the field, they'll be doing their pictures, doing their Instagram in real time during the events, and then also some of them will have their Facebook live feed, because we have a Facebook account and a Facebook page, and there'll be all this. So my end goal of this project, when I talk to people, was family values, community, and social media, getting the word out, because we want to build a club, and you build a club by getting young people and couples. And what do young people like? They like Instagram. I don't know. I guess they do. I have an Instagram account. I don't use it. But when I got into this particular project, the first thing I learned is that all the people doing the tournament had Instagram accounts. And when you went to their Instagram, it had all their archery pics and their buddies and friends. And if you're familiar with a local club, we're all pretty close. We all hang out at the archery range. We know each other's names. We're like super crazy safe. So when one person does something wrong, there's like an immediate yell of, whoa, 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 and everybody's like a group. And so I wanted to continue that onto the internet, and that's what Facebook lets me do. It lets me get past the integration, the import, which took me a course of the day, get it into WordPress where I could do things with IFTTT that I couldn't do 10 years ago. I'm going to blow the internet up. Done. Website's looking good, menus are looking good, media's in place, social media's in place, now I got to make it fast. So when I'm going to make my website fast, Cloudflare it, first thing I do. Some people might not like Cloudflare because it kind of does some funny caching things, but I find that's always the easiest thing to just get it done. And then I move on to auto-optimize and then cache enabler. Although I've been less of a fan of auto-optimize lately, I pretty much use Cloudflare and cache enabler, and they just seem to do the same thing. And then Smush, image it. Basically, I like to use Smush, but some of the other people in here, like Matt used to push, was it EWWW? What was the one that you liked? Tiny PNG. So Tiny PNG is actually how I did most of the website on that weekend, except I did it the old-fashioned way. Tiny PNG and the tab in the browser, drag and drop the images in, make them small and upload them. I'm just old school that way. But Tiny PNG has a really nice import feature with a subscription option. How many do they allow you? 500?
For free, 500.
I think it's 500 images or so for free. So I'm a big fan of that too. Either of them, Smush It or Tiny PNG or a couple of the other ones. Some of you will be surprised for me to say this, but I use Jetpack Protect a lot. And I talk about it a lot. I don't know why. I feel like I don't want to talk about it a lot, but Jetpack Protect's actually become pretty good. It actually does some pretty good. It used to be they bought Brute Protect, which was an old plugin from back in the day, and they really ramped it up. And I think it's a really solid community sort of collective bot and spam blocking tool. So I like to use that. Then again, if I'm not feeling happy with Jetpack on a particular day, I'll do WordFence. And WordFence is sort of my go-to. So I'm done. I've done everything. I've worked through all the steps. I built the website. I made it fast. I've shown it to the president of the club. He fell on his back and he said, "Oh, that's so awesome." All right, so next thing I need to do, though, is I need to get the social bits. I need to test them. I need to test my IFTTT. I need to kind of test my Twitter, and if I do to Twitter, does it push it out to all the different places? Instagram, boom, does. And the first thing I did is I gave it to one of the club members, and I said, can you just go ahead and log in and play around? And they looked at it and they said, yeah, pretty easy. Pretty straightforward. WordPress, it makes it easy. It makes it easy just to pass it on. Back to Google. I set up that Google account earlier not because I'm going to use it for social media, because now it's time to get the Search Console going. How many of you have your SSL certificate set up on your website? All right. Most important thing you could do in 2017 is get SSL on every one of your websites. It's free SEO. It used to be that you would hire a white hat SEO guy and he would do all kinds of crazy stuff and he would do some quasi black hat stuff SEO-wise back in the day. We all know that's not the case anymore. SEO is about content, it's all about links, and then it's about the tricks that Google tells you to do, like SSL. Anything else that you guys have just heard of that works really well, just kind of get it in place SEO-wise? We got an SEO expert back here.
Yeah.
What?
That's what we can get. That's a whole nother topic.
Agreed. I was thinking maybe there was something I hadn't thought of. But
Yeah, no one's, I mean, microdata, JSON LD has been out for like a long time.
Yeah.
No one takes advantage of schema. So
it's just kind of a hassle. And I know even with Yoast SEO does an acceptable job.
JSON's actually, I'm converting from microdata to JSON.
Yes.
And it's really easy.
It's
much easier than trying to get those tags in each of your, your divs and stuff like that. It's like way easier.
You're going to do a presentation on that.
No.
All right, so back to Google Search Console. By the way, I talked about SSL, but there's another aspect of the Google Search Console you need to know. You need to add your website in 4 different ways. Is anyone aware of that? You want to add your non-HTTP version. You want to add your HTTPS versions. You can kind of get away with just the non-HTTP and the HTTP, but get your www in there. Then you really want to do all 4 of them in your Google Search Console. There's some reason for this. I'm not going to get into it, but when you set them all up, you then make sure that the HTTP, the SSL is the favorite, is the go-to, is the choice. And in that way, Google will not be confused by www or HTTPS or non-HTTPS : //. They're going to go right to what you tell them to do. And if you don't tell Google Search Console to do it, they may kind of slip around. I have my impression from the work that I've done is if you do this approach right up front, things will start happening faster in terms of indexing your website and your menu structure in a nice and attractive way. The next thing is collect all the passwords. So I'm nearly at the end of this project. I'm done. I get my Google. I take my Google account. I go to Google Drive or Google Docs. I set up a doc, and then I put all the passwords and everything in there, and then I give that Google account off to the club members. It has everything: the Twitter password, the Facebook password. It has all the stuff. So I've taken a project that was a Joomla account a week before, and I've turned it into a complete website with the SEO aspects, the social interaction aspects, to all the way down to all the pages that are necessary for SEO, and in the end, gave it to them, and I was done. And if they have a problem or they have a difficulty, I can be on vacation, I don't have to be around. I gave them the Google Docs. They can go in and get the Twitter password if they want to do some custom promotions. Pass on the keys. Done.
Let it fly through.
Let it fly through. So, the moral of this story is nothing's really hard to do anymore. You can do it, right? You can do anything. With WordPress, you can do anything, and I'm going to leave you with this note.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it!
I've never seen this.
What? Yeah.
Stop giving up.
Why did we scream?
Oh, that was gold.
All right, so I had to get one more in. Oh, I love it. I watch that every morning. I'm serious.
It's inspiring.
So, I appreciate your time and listening to me and my rantings about importing Joomla and working through the process of building a website and getting it off to your client. Thank you very much.